In America, everyone counts, and the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Respond today online, by phone, or by mail, and help inform hundreds of billions in funding for education, health programs, and more. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov. The idiot had a conference at the White House today, all white historians, where he announced he's going to be signing an executive order creating a National Patriotic Education Commission. He took the time to slam the 1619 Project. Let's just say he was just simply talking to more white people. Listen to this, fool.
Like those of Howard Zinn that try to make students ashamed of their own history. The left has warped, distorted, and defiled the American story with deceptions, falsehoods, and lies. There is no better example than the New York Times totally discredited 1619 Project. This project rewrites American history to teach our children that we were founded on the principle of oppression, not freedom. Nothing could be further from the truth. America's founding set in motion the unstoppable chain of events that abolished slavery, secured civil rights, defeated communism and fascism, and built the most fair, equal, and prosperous nation in human history.
I just love Reese, how these white folks are just crazy about the 1619 Project, as if they just made it up, as if none of that stuff happened.
I mean, we had a whole ass war to end slavery. So what is he talking about? Like, oh, our founding led to slavery being abolished. No, it actually did not. There was a war. They're fighting over these Confederate statues, so they seem to have known that there was a war. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is what it looks like when you have a fascist government, when you have a government that's all about propaganda, whether it's vaccine propaganda, whether it is propaganda about history, whether it's propaganda about science, climate change, things of that nature. What Donald Trump and the Republican Party want to create is an alternate universe that extends beyond Fox News and actually extends into the classrooms, and it extends into how we are actually teaching people about our American history, which, by the way, is already inadequate. By the way, there's already not enough information about the true nature of the way that this country was founded and the fact that we are still fighting for basic civil rights to this day. And so this is just another one of his ploys to try to create an alternate reality. Unfortunately, Donald Trump and Betsy DeVos are over the government, and they have a large degree of power to actually see that these kinds of indoctrination, alternative histories actually make it into the classrooms, and that's very scary.
Erica, this is all about appealing to whiteness. Donald Trump, Bill Barr, their whole deal, they want to appeal to white voters and attacking 1619 Project. Oh, it's distorted, it's been discredited. Actually, no, it hasn't. And guess what? They can try to run away from it all they want to. They can try to call this the 1776 Commission. Listen to y'all. 1619 happened. So did 1620, 1621, 22, 23, 24, 25, all the way up. 1863 happened. 1865 happened. The Great Compromise of 1877 happened. Jim Crow happened. Black people having their land stolen happened. The peonage system, that happened. Pig laws, that happened. Lynching, that happened. Racism during World War I, that happened. Racism during World War II, that happened. Racism during Korea, that happened. Racism during Vietnam War, that happened. I mean, we can just go on and on. I mean, here's my whole deal. If these white folks really want to have a debate, y'all, here's the deal. We're more than prepared to have it. You know why? Because we now own shit. We now own media. And here he had all these historians, not a single black historian at his so-called little commission today, little White House on history, Erica.
Yeah, why would they be? I mean, this is all about white supremacy. This is about a person whose father was arrested at a Klan rally, really living out his best years. And so if everyone is to buy into white mythology, which says that this noble Italian came across the shores and discovered America, and then fast forward to 1619, there were people that immigrated to the U.S. and labored the U.S. soil to make it the wealthiest country in the world. That is white mythology. The truth of the matter is that this country was founded on nothing less than genocide and nothing less than theft. Full stop. And so he's talking to people that want to continue to live in this world where that is really the gospel. But it's not the truth. And it is very much so an unrepentant history. And so when you think about the way that Betsy DeVos, who only came into power because, as Dr. Carr says, smiling Mike Pence casted the tie-breaking vote in the Wells in the Senate as the president of the Senate, you now see how they have joined forces in order to continue to depress and oppress Black folks, right? It's particularly Black children, just coming off of the last segment that you just had there a moment ago. And so if people don't really kind of use these as smelling salts to understand that these people mean nobody any good, the goal is oligarchies in place. The goal is to have an authoritarian government ran by a white man, held down by white men. That and in that direction, it doesn't matter who gets dozed over. It will be Black and brown people largely, but there will be white casualties as well. And so if people don't really come into the understanding that the media is just a tool to really telegraph the message of the apartheid state that the United States of America is headed into, I don't know what, other evidence that people need that this is really nothing more than a group of folks who will do nothing, will stop at nothing rather, to have all of the power that they actually demand.
And Greg, the whole deal with bringing up Howard Zinn and all this other nonsense. I mean, these are illiterate people. These are individuals who know nothing. These are individuals who are full of it. Stephen Miller, we know damn well Trump can't read, and so hell, he can barely even say the number 1619, 1776. But again, and not only that, I have the story right here. Go to my iPad. Dallas Independent School District apologized for an assignment that asked high school students to write an essay about a modern hero and suggested Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old charged with killing 2 people during protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I mean, I have been saying to people since 2009, we're living in the age of white minority resistance, where white people are in the majority, but they have the people like, oh, no, we're losing. When they keep saying we're losing our culture, our values, what they're actually saying, Greg, is whiteness no longer dominates. What they're saying is, damn, we got to actually consider Black people and consider Latinos and consider Asians and Native Americans. We now got to listen to y'all. That's all this is.
That's right. Roland, and this is why everybody needs to break off some change and support Roland Martin Unfiltered, because this is your platform. This is Black owned, and you can say whatever you want to whoever you want. 3 quick things. Number 1, he's not well. Something wrong with that man. You saw him laboring, going from teleprompter to teleprompter. Something wrong with him. And Howard Zinn, who died 10 years ago, could have walked in there and shook his hand. He wouldn't have known who he was talking about, which leads me to the second of the 3 points. Because this is your platform, because it is Black-owned, because it is unfiltered and unvarnished, I hope you can track down Jean Guerrero, because the author of that speech, Stephen Miller, she breaks him down in hate monger. I want to watch you and Jean Guerrero have a conversation about Stephen Miller, because that is the words, as you say, that were going through his mouth as he moved his rotting body from teleprompter to teleprompter, because something is wrong with him. And the third thing is Stephen Miller is Joseph Goebbels, the man they called the Poison Dwarf, who in 1933, when the Nazis took over in Germany, that's why Erica just laid this out. This ain't about truth. When Goebbels was appointed Minister of Propaganda in the Nazi regime in 1933, the first thing he did was ban books by Jewish authors. Yeah. Then he started putting this propaganda out, and finally that Goebbels had the famous quote that says, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. This ain't no arguing about the truth or a lie. This is about propaganda. He went on to say that the lie can be maintained only as long as the state can shield the people from the political, the economic, and the military implications of the lie. In other words, that's what the COVID thing is about. They just straight propaganda, and it can only be maintained as long as you can shield the people from the implications. But the people are dying now. Finally, Goebbels said the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie. And thus, by extension, the truth is the mortal enemy of the state. Understand what they are doing. Let's not waste any more time debating whether or not, or do they know, do they not know? So this is Goebbels in 33, man. This is straight propaganda. As Reese has said and as Erica said, this is straight propaganda. I would love to hear you and Jean Guerrero talk about Stephen Miller for a solid hour, hour and a half. Because if we don't get this straight, we are going to be living in that apartheid state that Erica just talked about.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. As our community comes together to support the fight against racial injustice, I want to take a second to talk about one thing we can do to ensure our voices are heard. Not tomorrow, but now. Have your voices heard in terms of what kind of future we want by taking the 2020 census today at 2020census.gov? Now, folks, let me help you out. The census is a count of everyone living in the country. It happens once every 10 years. It is mandated by the U.S. Constitution. The thing that's important is that the census informs funding, billions of dollars, how they are spent in our communities every single year. I grew up in Clinton Park in Houston, Texas, and we wanted new parks and roads and a senior citizen center. Well, the census helps inform all of that and where funding goes. It also determines how many seats your state will get in the U.S. House of Representatives. Young black men and young children of color are historically undercounted, which means a potential loss of funding for services that helps our community. Folks, we have the power to change that. We have the power to help determine where hundreds of billions in federal funding go each year for the next 10 years. Funding that can impact our community, our neighborhoods, and our families and friends. Folks, responses are 100% confidential and can't be shared with your landlord, law enforcement, or any government agency. So please, take the 2020 census today. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov.